Hello, everybody. I'm back. I apologize for being a few days late with this one, but it was St. Patrick's Day weekend, and I spent most of it drinking and doing other things and watching Boondock Saints. In Numine Patria et Filii, Spiritus Sancti. Love that movie. That's a great movie. So, hope everybody else had as much fun on St. Patrick's Day as I did, and I hope everybody enjoyed being Irish. But yeah, there were a couple things I wanted to talk about. I did see the Victory Road pay-per-view. I actually kind of enjoyed it. It wasn't a stellar pay-per-view, but it was okay. Saw Raw. It was kind of a weak Saw show, but I'll go into more details in my next video. This weekend, probably on Sunday, I'm going to post my WrestleMania 28 preview video, and I'm going to talk about my feelings on each match and the build-ups and how everything is shaped up for WrestleMania 28 and what are my overall opinions on the show going in. So be on the lookout for that. Today I also wanted to bring to attention, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but a few months ago, I think might have been my first video of 2012, I don't remember, but I posted a WrestleMania 28 predictions card and what I thought the WrestleMania card would be. So I thought today I would go over that card and see how horribly wrong I was. And I was way off on what the Mania card would be. The only matches I got right were Rock and Cena, which was already announced beforehand, so technically that doesn't count. Undertaker and Triple H. I didn't predict it would be a Hell in a Cell, but I did know that that match was coming. Jericho and Punk for the WWE title. I picked Jericho to win the Rumble, but other than that, I got that match right. But everything else, I was way off. I thought the World Heavyweight title match, although to be fair, I had absolutely no idea. The World Heavyweight title match was just a wild guess. Daniel Bryan versus Mark Henry versus Randy Orton versus Big Show in a four-way. That didn't happen. It's Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus, who was the Royal Rumble winner. So I got that one wrong. I thought Sheamus was going to face Wade Barrett. That didn't happen. I picked The Miz to face Mick Foley. That's not happening. And the only reason I picked that match is because Foley said in an interview that he wanted to work with Miz, and I thought Foley was one of those guys where if he said, I want to work this or do this match, I thought the WWE would give it to him. So, I was wrong. I said Money in the Bank would happen. Didn't. They're doing the Team Teddy Long versus Team John Laurinaitis instead. God, what else did I... I said that Kane would wrestle Sin Cara. Now, I said that not knowing that Sin Cara would miss WrestleMania. I thought that Rey Mysterio was going to come back towards the middle of the year, and Sin Cara was supposed to be back in time for Mania. And apparently I got that reversed. I got that wrong. And there was talk that Rey might be back in time for Mania. I guess, they still have some spots to fill on the two teams, so Rey might fill one of those spots. I don't know. But I thought... I thought that Sin Cara would be back in time for Mania and not Rey. And I thought they were going to do, because there was a report that WWE wanted to do Sin Cara versus Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania so they could set the indoor mask-wearing record or something. And I thought, well, they don't have Rey, but they'll probably just throw... So once Kane's done with Cena, he's not going to have anything to do, so they'll probably just throw Sin Cara up against him just to get that mask record. And, that didn't happen, so I was off again. God, what else did I get wrong? I said there would be like a 5-on-5 Divas tag match. I was wrong about that. Didn't count on Eve turning heel or that chick from Extra being involved in the Mania match. But again, I'll talk about that in the preview. And I think that... Was that it? I think that was pretty much my WrestleMania card. So yeah, I was completely way off. The only matches I got right were the big ones. So my WrestleMania predictions, not too good. But that's okay. I mean, not that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's funny how not smart I am. I also, if people remember, in my WrestleMania 27 review last year, I said that Michael Cole would have a match at WrestleMania 28, and that didn't happen. Thank the Lord. So thank God I was wrong there. I'm not good at making predictions. Very, very bad at that. There's that. And like I said, I'm going to go more in depth about WrestleMania 28 this weekend. Sunday is when my preview video is going to be posted. A couple of other things. I did want to talk about one aspect of the Victory Road pay-per-view. And it's a very minor one, but I think I can make a discussion out of it. But before I do that, I do want to point out that in the description I posted a link to an editorial I wrote for WrestlingEpicenter.com, which is the website I work for. Posted an editorial there. My top 28 favorite build-ups, feuds, and storylines in WrestleMania history. So I was going to make that into a video, but I thought if I made a video, it would be way too long. and I would just go crazy, and I don't think I left myself enough time to make a series out of it, like I did for rebooking WrestleMania last year. So I'm posting a link to the editorial right there. Go check that out, see if you agree. If anything, it'll be interesting and hopefully spark some responses and spark some discussion. But yeah, the Victory Road pay-per-view, like I said, I enjoyed the show overall. I really like what they did with Robert Roode at the end of the show. I do have to say that. I mean, they really made him look like a dick there. And kudos to Sting, not enough guys do that, where he made himself look bad for the sake of the storyline. And some people like to say that the face always has to get his revenge. And, I feel like, no, you can use a babyface as a sacrificial lamb to set up the heel for another babyface to take down. The example I love to use is Star Wars. Ben Kenobi does not need to get his revenge on Darth Vader for killing him in A New Hope. And sometimes I feel like if WWE were writing Star Wars, they would do that. Like, Ben Kenobi would come back in Empire for no reason just to get revenge on Darth Vader, when in actuality, by killing Ben Kenobi, that sets up Vader as an even stronger villain and gives Luke more of a motivation to face him later on. So really what that move did was set Vader up for Luke in Empire and ultimately Jedi. No, I have no problem with the way they handled Bobby Roode at the pay-per-view. I thought, and kudos to Sting for making himself look weak for the sake of setting Bobby Roode up as a stronger heel. I like that. And that doesn't happen enough. I remember when Triple H got attacked by Sheamus, and he was out for a year, and then he comes back, and he beats the holy piss out of Sheamus, and Sheamus pretty much gets thrown to the wayside. And I'm like, why did that need to happen? Can't Sheamus just have that he put Triple H out for a year? I mean, if Triple H is going to be facing Undertaker, and you've pretty much ditching the Sheamus thing, can't Sheamus just have that? Just little things like that. I'm just saying. Although they had already fucked up Sheamus by that point anyway, so I guess it didn't matter. But, hopefully the Storm Roode match at Lockdown delivers, because I think that's going to be the only good part about the card, because I'm looking at what they're shaping up for Lockdown. Doesn't look too good, but that's the one good thing they have. But what really struck me about the Victory Road pay-per-view, one thing I do wanted to talk about, I do want to have like a little discussion about it, was the Tag Team Championship match between Samoa Joe and Magnus defending against Matt Morgan and Crimson. Not the greatest tag team combination in the world, and they're pretty, they're two teams of singles guys thrown together because they have no other tag teams. But one thing they did in the match that I thought was very cool was that they didn't do the typical modern-day tag team formula where every tag team match has to work the entire match around doing a hot tag. And that's what every tag match does now. And I think that's one of the reasons that tag team wrestling is so boring right now, is that all the matches are the same. They didn't do that here. They had Crimson play the selfish guy, try to take the glory for himself, so he refused to tag Morgan. So instead of having him be in trouble and get beat up and do a double down to set up the hot tag, which is what every tag match does, they made it to where Matt Morgan is going to have to basically put himself in a situation where he has to get a blind tag in to get into the match. And I thought that was an interesting little change to what the normal tag team formula is, and I wish more tag team matches would be different. I understand hot tags get a response, but when every single tag match is exactly the same, again, watch WWE, and in most cases, watch TNA. All the tag matches are the same. The faces start out taking control, then one face gets isolated, they beat him up for a while, then there's a double down, then they do the hot tag, and then it turns into a free-for-all, which makes no sense. And this tag title match in Victory Road did that, and I wish they would stop that. It becomes a free-for-all, and then they do whatever the finish is going to be, and then that's it. And every single tag match is virtually the same. And that's one of the reasons that tag team wrestling has suffered so much, I think, is all the matches are the same. When I think of the great tag team divisions of the past, the Rockers, if they had a match in the opening match, it was going to be a very different match from what the Hart Foundation was going to have later in the show. Because every team worked a different style, every team worked a different strategy. I remember, and again, going back to the point that not every match needs to have a hot tag, I remember when Demolition feuded with the Colossal Connection, that was Andre the Giant and Haku, in case you don't remember. Not the most stellar feud in the world. It was ordinary, really, as far as tag team feuds go. But the match where Demolition lost the titles to Haku and Andre, they made a point of selling it where Andre and Haku were able to isolate Demolition and prevent them from even tagging. And that was a major point. They defeated Demolition because they were never able to make a legal tag. And they were able to just dominate the one guy and get the win and win the titles. That was interesting. They had a strategy and it worked. Again, it's not the most stellar feud in the world. I'm just saying they did something a little different and it paid off. And then when it came time for WrestleMania to do the rematch, Demolition realized, okay, we can't beat Andre, but we can beat Haku. So our game plan is, let's make sure Andre never gets tagged in. And they did, and they won the titles back. Right, and I think that's one of the aspects to tag team wrestling that's so appealing is that it is very much like a team sport. Like baseball, like football. You know me, I love football. In that you have to come up with a strategy that plays to the strengths of your team. If you're playing on a football team that has 3 A-class wide receivers, you're probably going to be a very pass-happy team. And if you're playing defense against a team like that, you're going to have to find a way to neutralize their receiving core. Things like that. You're going to play differently against different teams based on what they do offensively and what they do defensively. No two teams are exactly the same. When you would watch back in the old days, the Rockers would do a lot of double team moves and were very fast paced. You would have to prepare for that. In the Hart Foundation, Brett would do most of the grunt work most of the match, and then Jim the Anvil Neidhart would come in at the end and clean house because he's the big power guy. And Demolition, their strategy was mostly keep the guy in our corner so we can beat the holy hell out of him and we can do a lot of double team chopping and stomping and beatdowns. Again, that was interesting. No two teams were exactly the same. And that was one of the best parts about the early Survivor Series, where basically the whole cards were Survivor Series matches. It was, with that diverse roster, it was virtually impossible for 2 of the matches to be identical. You could wind up with 3-on-1 situations. You could wind up with, comes down to the wire, 1-on-1. I mean, there were virtually lots of things you could do with Survivor Series to the point where you could have 4 or 5 Survivor Series matches on the card and each one would be different. I remember in '93 when the Foreign Fanatics faced the All-Americans, it was Luger, the Steiners, and The Undertaker. Undertaker didn't get tagged in until the very end of the match. And they made it seem like that was their strategy. It's like, look, Undertaker's kind of our secret weapon here. Let's save him for the end so that when it comes time, when we get down to the nitty-gritty, we can send him in there and just totally clean house and kick ass. And that was their strategy, and it worked. Again, interesting aspects like that to make tag team wrestling seem like a team sport, I think would be the way to go, rather than just doing the same formulaic match over and over and over again. I mean, the match on Raw this week, who was it? It was R-Truth and Kofi Kingston versus Ziggler and Swagger. I've seen that match 100 times, and it doesn't even matter who's in it. I've seen that fucking match. Just move for move. And beat for beat, I should say, because the moves change, but the formula doesn't change at all. And it gets very boring, predictable, and repetitive. And that's one of the reasons, again, among other problems, the fact that they don't have enough teams, they don't invest enough time into building a division, but it's also, they have virtually the same match every single time, to where it doesn't even matter who is wrestling, because you know you're going to see the exact same match. And that's a problem that needs to be fixed. And I don't know if that might have something to do with the agents putting the matches together, I think. I mean, again, I don't know. That goes back to the lack of individuality in wrestling that's really harmed it in the modern eras. Again, I'm just speculating. I don't really know. But, yeah, I would like to see that change for tag team wrestling. Go back to having teams with unique looks, unique styles, and unique ways of working their matches. 'Cause that's how a lot of teams got over. The Road Warriors didn't get over by doing hot tags. They got over by killing people, because that's what they did. And if every match does the hot tag, then the hot tag's no longer special. And it becomes just an expected spot in a match, rather than a good way to build drama, really. So that's just my whole take on tag team wrestling, and what TNA did in that one match in Victory Road. For that one, 2-3 minute period or whatever, they actually did something a little different with the tag team match that I kind of enjoyed. So there's that. Again, I'm not saying TNA's tag team division is saved because of it. I'm just saying for one brief moment, they actually did something kind of different that was kind of cool. But Yeah, I would like to see more things to spice up tag team wrestling, because that's one of the reasons it appeals to me. It appealed to me so much as a kid, was that it was very much like a team sport, and there were diverse looks and diverse strategies, and teams would have to find different ways to work together to win matches and stuff. And I did find that to be very interesting. And then in the late 90s, early 2000s, again, you kind of had that again. Most of the matches were no rules free-for-alls, like TLC matches, but when you had the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys, each of those teams approached those matches differently. Like the Hardys were more like the Daredevils, the Dudleys were more ground and pound, beat our opponents into submission, and Edge and Christian were more the opportunists and would pick their spots and make sure others were hurt so they could sneak up and get the titles. So even then, in those free-for-all kind of matches, different strategies came into play, and it worked, and it was interesting, and it got characters over. So that's that's basically my take on tag team wrestling. Again, check out that article I posted at WrestlingEpicenter.com. The link is posted in the description. And stay tuned for my WrestleMania 28 preview this Sunday. And hope you all enjoy WrestleMania 28. We're getting close. It's whether you're enjoying the road to WrestleMania or not, it is an exciting time of the year to be a wrestling fan. So hopefully we get one more week or almost 2 weeks of great build-up. And I'll see you all this Sunday.